Steven Soderbergh directs this psychological thriller that's filmed in the most unexpected yet intriguing way. Unsane is a frightening movie starring Claire Foy as a woman who's unwittingly signed into a shady behavioral facility after talking with a stalking victim support counselor. After her stay is extended after assaulting an orderly and another patient, she begins suspecting that her former stalker is now working in the facility as a way to get close to her, and he's played by Joshua Leonard. The way Unsane is filmed is with an iPhone, specifically an iPhone 7 Plus. Although this isn't anything very revolutionary, it gives the movie a very warped and almost surreal style that proves incredibly effective. Unsane starts out really well. No one in the facility believes that Foy's character is in any danger, and there were times I couldn't determine if who she was seeing was really there. This roller coaster ride comes to an end, however, with a definitive plot turn that makes the movie less unconventional than I was hoping it would be. The movie determines that our main character isn't really mentally unhealthy, and that her stalker really is in the facility. With this, Unsane descends into a typical stalker thriller with a usual slasher film third act. Although this wasn't enough to completely turn me off from Unsane, it did cause me to lose a good amount of interest. It's good, but had the movie stuck with being a film about a woman questioning her sanity, I would have liked it a lot more. The outcome of the movie may actually have something to do with current attitudes towards sexual assault against women, which has been heavily addressed by members of the film industry for the last several months. I also think the movie takes a stand against corrupt behavioral treatment facilities like the one depicted in Unsane, which is willing to hide and cover up wrongdoings as well as hold perfectly sane people against their will until their insurance maxes out. Unsane is a thriller with an impressive first half and an entertaining but generic second one. This is made up for with some terrific performances by Foy and Leonard, as well as former SNL comic Jay Farrow as a patient with a secret identity. Unsane also gets points for its style, proving that simple can sometimes be incredibly effective. Now, the 1517 to Paris. If I didn't know that this movie was directed by Clint Eastwood, I never would have guessed it. The 1517 to Paris is a movie with good intentions, but bad end results. It's a retelling of the 2015 terror attack that took place on a train going from Amsterdam to Paris. The attack was thankfully thwarted by three American friends, Spencer Stone, Anthony Sadler, and Alex Skarlatos. What makes the movie different from traditional biopics is that the three heroes are portrayed not by actors, but the real guys who stopped the attack themselves. Although this is an interesting idea for an experiment, it ends up as a tragically failed one. One criticism 1517 has gotten from most people who've seen it is that the three guys acting isn't very good. While I agree that they won't ever win any Oscars, I really didn't think they were that bad. While I wasn't completely put off by their performances, it's the screenwriter I was most frustrated with, because the biggest problem for me was that this movie has a lousy script. The attack itself only makes up the last maybe 10% of the movie at most, while the entirety of the rest of the movie is padded out with lame family melodrama and pointless montages of friends vacationing in Europe. 1517 is a forgettable exercise in storytelling that goes down as perhaps the worst movie I've seen from Clint Eastwood's director's chair. While it pays due respect to an example of ordinary people acting to keep others safe, it doesn't focus enough on that action to fill its runtime. And now, how to talk to girls at parties. Clint Eastwood isn't the only director who I admire who happened to make a sucky movie this year that I was initially looking forward to seeing. From John Cameron Mitchell comes this science fiction absurdist film from the mind of Neil Gaiman, loosely adapted from one of his short stories. How to Talk to Girls at Parties is a Romeo and Juliet romance between a boy from the UK and a space girl who's come to Earth with her clan of latex-wearing cannibalistic aliens. They're played by Alex Sharp and Elle Fanning, and the two bond and fall in love with each other, as well as the British punk rock scene that was so prominent during the time the film is set. Although they have some pretty good chemistry, their characters are so uninteresting that I just didn't care about them or really anything else that happens in this obnoxious and chaotic mess of a movie. How to Talk to Girls at Parties is full of the absurdist humor that's signature to Mitchell's films, but I never laughed at any of the movie's ridiculous attempts at humor. I love watching aliens finger people's assholes just as much as the next guy, but no thanks, movie. When it focuses on the music scene at its center, it almost finds some reason for being, but I was again completely uninterested in what the songs were about and didn't care because they really weren't very good. Between the music from the punk bands and the ear-piercing screeches that come from the aliens, I had a hard time deciding which one I found more annoying. The movie ends after a free-for-all fight scene between the punks and extraterrestrials that accomplishes nothing. How to Talk to Girls at Parties is nice to look at, but impossible to follow due to its plot that flips off the rails and main characters who I at times completely forgot were even in the movie. This is a movie that fits perfectly in the category of style over substance, and one that I would call a cult film in the making, but one that's not very enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching. I have more reviews planned soon. As usual, I'm Logan D. McCoy, and this is Real McCoy Reviews.